You know how you want to get those really deep insights, the stuff that actually sticks, but without wading through just tons of information?
Yeah, exactly. Cutting through the noise.
Well, that's what we try to do here. And
Huh?
today, we're doing a deep dive into something pretty fascinating, a transcript from Rabbi Itamar Schwartz.
Hmm.
It's all about the unique individuality of your soul and this practice called hitbodedut solitary time as maybe a key to unlocking that.
Right. And this transcript, it's really an intro, kind of laying the foundation for understanding this core idea in Jewish thought
Which is,
that each of us, has this totally distinct inner world, this really personal connection to the divine.
okay.
So our mission, really, in this dive is to get a handle on those core ideas. Like, why is this uniqueness so important? And how could this solitude practice maybe offer something for your own growth, your self-awareness?
Like a new way to see yourself.
Exactly, a different lens.
Okay, so let's start right there. The uniqueness of the soul. The transcript really hammers this point home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Every soul is unique, not a copy.
Completely unique. It stresses this special individual connection each soul has.
You used the orchestra analogy before we started recording Sammy Symphony, but every instrument has its own sound, its own part.
That's a great way to put it. And what's really interesting is this like two-sided aspect of it.
Okay.
First, there's just you being you, your specific mix of traits, experiences, how you see things, different from everyone else.
Makes sense.
But then there's the unique way your soul connects interfaces with the divine. That's also specific to you.
Oh, okay. So it's not just being different, but how you connect is different too.
Precisely. And they're linked. The more you understand your own essence, your individuality, the deeper that connection can actually become.
So it feeds itself, kind of. Knowing yourself better helps the spiritual connection.
Exactly. A feedback loop.
Sure.
It's not just navel-gazing. It's realizing that individuality has a purpose.
Right. And the transcript notes, even with shared communal things like the 613 commandments in Judaism, shared path, each person still has their own inner reality, their own specific job to do within that.
Absolutely.
So how do you even start exploring that? This inner uniqueness seems kind of big.
Well, that's where hitbodedut comes in. The transcript presents it as like a primary tool, something really valued by early Jewish scholars for precisely this purpose, uncovering the soul's unique nature.
Hitbodedut. So what does that actually mean, practically?
In simple terms, it means intentionally making time to be totally alone, separating yourself, from the usual hustle and bustle, the interactions.
It's like building a quiet room inside your day to actually hear yourself think.
Yeah, that's part of it. The transcript mentions benefits like stepping back from the material stuff for a bit, finding quiet for real focus, contemplation.
But you said there was a deeper reason, too.
Absolutely. The core purpose is to let those unique parts of your soul actually surface. When you're always around others, their energy, their ideas, it can kind of drown out your own inner voice.
Muffles it.
Right. Solitude gives that voice space to be heard. Even just, 10 or 15 minutes of quiet, no phone, no distractions, just noticing your thoughts. That can be a start.
Okay, this is where it got really interesting for me. This apparent contradiction the transcript brings up.
Ah, yes, the paradox.
Yeah, that we humans have this deep fundamental need for connection, for community, but also somehow a need for complete individual isolation. Seems like opposites pulling apart.
It definitely presents a tension, and the source uses different creation perspectives to illustrate it, like Adam being created alone emphasizes individuality.
Right.
But then there's the idea of Adam and Eve being initially connected, maybe even two sides of one being highlighting our need for connection.
So which is it?
Well, the reality is most of us lean one way, right? More social or more of a loner.
Yeah, definitely.
But the transcript suggests the real inner path isn't about picking one. It's about holding both, balancing them.
Holding both extremes simultaneously. How does that work?
It implies that real inner work needs both things. That deep connection with your community. The transcript specifically mentions the community of Israel and these periods of the soul being separate, individual.
Okay, but here's the crucial part you mentioned.
Yes, the vital link. Your ability to really go deep inside to reach that unique core is somehow tied to how much you love and care for others.
Wait, really? So being alone isn't enough?
Apparently not, according to this teaching. If someone seems isolated, but they lack that real empathy, that connection to their community, their path isn't quite right. It's not aligned.
So the solitude shouldn't be selfish. It should actually make you better at connecting.
That seems to be the idea. A solitude that fuels a deeper capacity for love, not one that just cuts you off. It's a really key distinction.
Yeah, That is key. And the transcript then talks about like the reasons we connect or isolate, superficial versus genuine.
Right. Are you hanging out with people just because you're bored or feeling empty inside, needing distraction? That's superficial.
Okay.
Or are you isolating yourself just out of selfishness, only thinking about your own stuff? That's also superficial.
So what are the deeper motivations?
True connection comes from, well, profound love for others, genuine care, and true solitude, the kind we're talking about, comes from that deep source of inner discovery, that wanting to connect with your real self, not from ego.
Okay. But pursuing that solitude, the transcript warns about risks.
Yes, definitely. Two main dangers highlighted are becoming detached from family, community, the people who matter, and just becoming more selfish, more self-absorbed.
How do you avoid that? It seems like a fine line.
It is. The transcript points out that if your life is mostly external, focused on what others think, then any feeling of being unique can easily just become pride, ego.
Ah, like I'm special because I'm doing this deep inner work.
Exactly. But genuine inner exploration, it says, leads somewhere else, to a quieter space.
Mm.
Truer, cleaner is a word used.
Quieter, truer, cleaner. So how do you know if you're on the right track? Are there indicators?
Yes, the source gives indicators for a healthy balance, a deep love for your fellow Israelites or your community, feeling empathy for their struggles, and actively doing good for them. If those three things are there,
Then the foundation is probably sound.
that's the suggestion. It means your inner work isn't just making you navel-gaze, it's actually connecting you more deeply.
Right.
Think about it. Maybe your unique talents, the things that make you you, are the very ways you're meant to connect and contribute.
So developing uniqueness isn't selfish. It's unlocking your potential to give.
Potentially, yes. Direct it outwards in a positive way.
Got it. And this discovery, it's not just like learning facts about yourself, is it? The transcript uses strong language entering a deeper realm.
Exactly. It's not just intellectual knowledge. It's portrayed as an entry into this, deeper, quieter, cleaner space inside.
Like it creates a whole new inner world.
That's the idea. Offering a totally different perspective on life. The transcript compares it to the shift from childhood to adulthood. Your whole way of seeing things changes.
Wow. So external stuff, achievements based on being unique, might feel good,
Sure, satisfaction, recognition.
but they don't necessarily create that fundamental internal shift.
Right, not this kind of deep transformation.
Okay, then there's this concept of a private world. That sounds intriguing.
The idea that each person has their own private world, and some people, those who merit it, actually experience this world while living here.
There was a quote, his world he sees in his lifetime.
Exactly. Meaning that inner world is revealed to him in his lifetime.
So what's that like, living in this world but connected to another one?
It's described as living here but being connected to that inner higher world. Experiencing a new frequency, a different perception, seeing others in one reality while you're kind of existing in another simultaneously.
Like tuning into a different radio station that others might not hear.
That's a good analogy. It's always broadcasting, perhaps, but you need to tune in. Maybe moments of deep flow or creativity give a tiny taste of that absorption, where the outside fades.
Yeah, maybe. So this brings us back to Hit-But-A-Dud again. The transcript revisits it.
Right, to clarify. True Hit-But-A-Dud isn't just blocking off an hour on your calendar while still living mainly in the shared common world.
It's more fundamental.
It's about actually living from that inner world you've discovered.
So it contrasts someone who lives externally but carves out time versus someone who has found that inner space and kind of lives there.
That's the distinction being made. That person essentially exists in their own private realm, even when they're physically with other people who are also in their own private worlds.
So true solitude isn't just going to a quiet cabin.
Not merely physical separation.
It's finding that unique core, that deep personal space inside that nobody else can access.
Exactly. Discovering that unique essence of your soul and entering that space.
Wow. Okay, then the transcript pivots hard. It turns directly to the listener. To you.
The investment question.
Yeah. How much are you really willing to invest in finding this inner world? Time, effort, resources, compared to, say, your material needs.
It lays down a principle. Your connection to something, what you attain, is proportional to how much you value it, how important you make it.
Oof. That requires some real honesty.
It does. It asks for serious self-assessment. It even uses hypotheticals like, would you give up stuff, material things, for this inner connection to
Yeah.
gauge the real depth of desire.
It's confronting.
And it anticipates the objections. I'm busy, work, family, valid things.
Of course.
But the core question doesn't go away. Are you willing to dedicate at least as much to the inner as you do to the outer?
And that's a personal question for you, the listener, to reflect on.
Entirely personal. No one else can answer it.
But the transcript also kind of assumes, if you're listening to this, if you're drawn to these ideas, there's probably already some desire there, right?
Likely, yes. So it talks about cultivating that desire, making it deeper, more profound, even suggesting maybe heartfelt introspection, really crying out from the heart for
Crying out?
metaphorically, or perhaps even literally for some traditions. It's about distinguishing between just wanting something vaguely and having this deep, persistent longing that shows it's a real priority.
Aligning your deepest desires with this inner work.
That seems to be key. What do you really want most?
So, practically speaking, how do you nurture that desire? It comes back to the investment thing.
Yes, by honestly looking at what you're willing to put in tangible things like money, time, real mental effort, focused thought.
In that self-assessment, it shows you the gap between what you say you want and what you're actually doing.
Exactly. Seeing that discrepancy isn't meant to make you feel bad, but maybe to help the ego surrender a bit, strengthen the will to actually pursue it.
To really think about your ultimate goals, what truly matters most in the long run? What holds the highest value in your life? Now, the source material included some Q&A. Someone asked about using books, like Breslov texts, for Hippodut without a teacher. What was the take on that?
The general principle given was that guidance from a living teacher is really crucial. Books are valuable, absolutely, but a teacher helps avoid misinterpretations, pitfalls.
Keeps you on track, provides critique.
Right. Offers that personalized feedback and direction that's hard to get just from reading.
Okay. And then the role of prayer came up. Deep, heartfelt prayer. How does that fit in?
It's presented as really fundamental, connecting those deepest longings, the cries of the heart, with this main goal, inner discovery, connection.
So, whatever you desire most deeply, that's where the most powerful prayer comes from.
That's the implication. You might want many things, but the thing that evokes the deepest response, that's probably your core desire. The advice is to identify that and focus your prayer there.
And there was one last point about prayer styles balancing emotional expression with quiet prayer.
Yeah, the question was about finding harmony. The suggestion was, if you find yourself always leaning towards very high emotion in prayer, maybe you need to cultivate inner stillness first.
Find the quiet before the expression.
Or at least achieve a better balance. Both quiet contemplation and heartfelt expression have their place in a rounded spiritual practice.
Right. Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, we've covered a lot, this idea of the unique soul.
Profoundly unique.
And Hippodut as a way, maybe the way, to discover it.
A primary method, yes.
Then the whole paradox, needing connection and needing solitude, and how they're actually linked through love and empathy.
That crucial balance and the importance of genuine motives.
And finally, really, the call for personal commitment. How much do you truly want this inner discovery?
It all circles back to desire and investment, doesn't it? And the idea that this isn't just about knowing more, but about a real transformation.
A fundamental shift in how you experience life.
Exactly. Not just external achievements, but a different inner reality.
Which leads perfectly to that final thought we wanted to leave you with. Really consider this. Where are your deepest investments right now? Your time, your energy, your focus, your emotions.
Where do they truly lie?
And what might change? What could possibly unfold in your life if you were to consciously decide to shift even a small part of that investment towards exploring your own unique inner world?
It's something to ponder. We really hope you'll keep reflecting on these ideas. Maybe go back to the source, explore related things that call to you.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today on your journey of learning and self-discovery.